These are 10 backyard food growing practices that have been banned, fined, criminalized, or quietly discouraged across American suburbs. Every one of them works. Every one of them has fed families for generations. And every one of them has been used as the basis to threaten an American homeowner with fines, jail, or the loss of their home. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics in 2024, the average American household now spends $6,224 a year on groceries at home, and total food spending including restaurants climbs to $10,169 per household per year. The math on the other side tells a different story. National Gardening Association data shows that a typical 600 square foot food garden returns about $600 of produce annually, with well-maintained plots delivering roughly $500 in pure profit on the gardener's investment. Roger Duiron of Kitchen Gardeners International put it in the plainest terms possible when he calculated the value of his own harvest. From his garden in a single year, he pulled 900 pounds of organic vegetables, which would have cost him $2,200 to buy at the store. The question isn't whether suburban food growing works. The question is, why so much of it has been made illegal, restricted, or quietly impossible across the country? What follows are 10 of those practices, and the real cases of the people who fought back. Number 1. Growing vegetables in your front yard. For 17 years in Miami Shores, Florida, Hermine Ricketts and Tom Carroll grew vegetables in their front yard because their backyard didn't get enough sunlight. Roughly 75 varieties filled that plot, including okra, peppers, tomatoes, and squash. And Ricketts told reporters that at least 80% of their meals came directly from it. That changed in March 2013, when Miami Shores amended its zoning code to permit vegetable gardens in rear yards only. Code enforcement arrived 2 months later, carrying a $50 daily fine, which worked out to roughly $1,500 a month, and the couple couldn't afford it. The garden came out of the ground. The Institute for Justice took their case, which lost in trial court, lost on appeal in 2017, and was refused review by the Florida Supreme Court. The publicity, though, drove the legislatures to pass Senate Bill 82, signed by Governor DeSantis on June 24, 2019, which became the first state law in the country protecting the right to grow vegetables on residential property. Ricketts replanted that July, and she died of a lung illness in August at the age of 63, just weeks after her victory. Up in Oak Park, Michigan, Julie Bass faced 93 days in jail for the crime of 5 raised beds of tomatoes, zucchini, and peppers in her front yard. The city planner, Kevin Rokowski, told reporters the ordinance required suitable landscaping, and that the dictionary defined suitable as common. The dictionary does not say that. After her case went viral nationally in 2011, the charges were dropped. Number 2. Keeping backyard chickens. 6 hens produce around 1,500 eggs a year, and after the first year of startup costs, the cost per dozen drops to about $3.60, compared with $6.85 average for store-bought eggs in March of 2025. In Union County, North Carolina, Craig and Mary Schroeder learned the hard way what an HOA can do to that math when their association began fining them $100 a day for keeping chickens. Those fines climbed past $31,500. The case reached the North Carolina Supreme Court, and in 2025, the court ruled against the Schroeders on the grounds that chickens are not household pets. The loophole most people never hear about involves quail. In many cities that ban chickens, quail remain perfectly legal because they're classified as game birds rather than poultry. A Coturnix quail needs only 1 square foot of space, begins laying eggs at 6 to 8 weeks old, and produces around 300 eggs a year, which puts it ahead of most chicken breeds. They're also quieter, and most ordinances simply haven't caught up to them. Number 3. Collecting rainwater. A 2,000 square foot roof in a region that gets 35 inches of rain a year captures, in theory, around 43,000 gallons annually. And the EPA reports that outdoor water use accounts for up to 50% of household consumption in summer. In Colorado, this practice was illegal. Not restricted, illegal. Under the prior appropriation doctrine, summarized as first in time, first in right, every drop of rain falling on your roof technically belonged to a downstream water rights holder. House Bill 16,105, signed on August 10, 2016, finally changed that, and Coloradans can now collect rainwater within strict limits. The cap stands at 2 rain barrels with a combined capacity of 110 gallons. Rooftop collection only. Outdoor use only. Rainwater collection is now legal in some form in every state in America. And Texas, Arizona, California, and New Mexico actively encourage it through tax breaks and rebates. Arizona alone offers a tax credit of up to $1,000. Number 4. Reusing gray water on your garden. Gray water is the water that drains from your shower, your bathroom sink, and your washing machine. And every person produces up to 40 gallons of it a day. Diverted to a garden, it can reduce indoor water use by 24 to 36%. Before Arizona reformed its laws in 2001, the state environmental agency had issued exactly 2 gray water permits in its entire history, even though a 1999 survey found that 13% of Tucson area homes were already using gray water anyway. In California, before code reform, the estimate ran to 1.7 million unpermitted gray water systems, quietly operating in people's yards. Today, the rules look very different in the West, with Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and California making it permit-free for small systems. The picture changes elsewhere. West Virginia and Massachusetts still require a composting toilet before allowing any gray water system at all. And across much of the Northeast and Midwest, no code exists, which means no permit can be issued, which means the practice remains effectively banned. Number 5. Hanging your laundry on a clothesline. This isn't food, but it pays for food. American clothes dryers consume $9 billion in electricity every year and account for roughly 6% of all residential power use, while line drying saves a household between $150 and $250 annually. Alexander Lee, the founder of Project Laundry List, estimates that more than half of American HOAs ban or restrict clotheslines. In Bend, Oregon, Susan Taylor was fined $994.50 for hanging her laundry outside, and her clothesline cord was cut in the night, twice. Her case made the front page of the Wall Street Journal, NPR, the BBC, and the Colbert Report. 6 states have explicit right-to-dry laws on the books, namely Florida, Colorado, Hawaii, Maine, Maryland, and Vermont, and 13 more have solar access laws that arguably cover clotheslines. Number 6. Building a hoop house to extend the growing season. Out in Elmhurst, Illinois, Nicole and Dan Virgil built a temporary hoop house in their backyard, out of PVC pipe and 6mm plastic, measuring 9 feet tall and 11.5 by 32 feet across. A neighbor complained within 1 week. The city cited them under the Mobile Home Code and the Permanent Building Code, and neither one applied to what they had built. The fight ran through 16 public meetings over 6 years, and when the city council voted on the matter in February 2019, the mayor broke the tie against them. That fight drove the Illinois Vegetable Garden Protection Act, House Bill 633, signed by Governor Pritzker in July 2021, and the Virgils finally won at the local level in 2022. Nicole Virgil's words on the record captured the absurdity better than any commentary could. "I just want to grow my own food on my own property." In America, that really shouldn't be such a controversial idea, and it certainly shouldn't be illegal. Number 7. Planting food on the Parkway Strip. In 2010, Ron Finley planted a 150-foot edible garden on the city-owned strip between the sidewalk and the street in South Central Los Angeles, filled with sunflowers, peppers, fig trees, banana trees, tomatoes, and kale. Los Angeles enforced a 36-inch height limit for parkway plantings. Finley's plants grew taller, and the citation arrived shortly after. The city told him to pay $400 for a food planting permit or cut the garden down, and when he refused, a warrant was issued for his arrest. His response, after 2.5 years of court dates and a public petition with 900 signatures, was to change the law itself. The Los Angeles City Council amended the ordinance in 2013, and his TED Talk on the subject has been viewed roughly 5 million times. In his own words, "I got the law changed so you can plant food on your parkway now in Los Angeles, but it's absurd that I was a criminal for planting carrots, while there are couches and condoms all over the street right next to my garden." And the line he's best known for, "Growing your own food is like printing your own money." Number 8. Sharing seeds with your neighbors. On Earth Day, April 26, 2014, the Joseph T. Simpson Public Library in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, opened a seed library where patrons could check out heirloom seeds and return seeds from what they grew. 60 members signed up. By June, the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture had informed the library it was in violation of the Pennsylvania Seed Act of 2004, and that every seed variety would need testing for purity and germination, roughly 400 seeds per variety. Cumberland County Commissioner Barbara Cross described the threat in her own words. "Agri-terrorism is a very, very real scenario. Protecting and maintaining the food sources of America is an overwhelming challenge." A library was sharing tomato seeds, and the county called it agri-terrorism. The state eventually reversed course after pressure from the Pennsylvania Association for Sustainable Agriculture and Grow Pittsburgh, determining that the library was not technically a distributor. The context behind that crackdown matters. The 2018 Bayer-Monsanto merger closed at $63 billion, and the four largest seed companies, namely Bayer, Corteva, ChemChina, and BASF, now control roughly 60% of the commercial seed market and 76% of global agrochemical sales. Before the merger, those same four sold 85% of U.S. corn seeds and 91% of cotton seeds. Number 9. Letting your lawn grow. Many of the most nutritious wild edibles on the continent, including dandelion, plantain, chickweed, and clover, are classified as noxious weeds in suburban ordinances. American homeowners apply an estimated 80 million pounds of synthetic pesticides to their lawns every year, much of it specifically to kill these plants. In Grand Prairie, Texas, Rick Yos went to jail in 2015 after refusing to mow his lawn for 20 years, with a $1,700 fine he couldn't pay, and so he served the time. Down in Dunedin, Florida, Jim Ficken was simply away from home in 2018 when his grass grew, and the fines accumulated at $500 a day until they reached $30,000, and the city moved to foreclose on his house. The Institute for Justice took the case, and it was settled in April 2024 for $8,000. The strangest case on the list comes from 1986, when Steve Brill, known to his readers as Wildman Brill, was leading a foraging tour through Central Park in New York City. Two undercover park rangers infiltrated the tour, paid with marked bills, and arrested him for eating a dandelion. The story made the front page of the Chicago Sun-Times, the CBS Evening News, and Late Night with David Letterman. The charges were dropped, and the New York City Parks Department then hired him as a naturalist to lead foraging tours for the next 4 years. Number 10. Selling what you grow. Every state in America now has some form of cottage food law allowing the sale of homemade food, though the patchwork is wide. Wyoming's Food Freedom Act, passed in 2015, permits the sale of almost any homemade food, without licensing or inspection. 16 states limit sales to approved product lists, and 8 prohibit online sales entirely. Minnesota raised its sales cap in 2021 to $78,000 per producer per year, and the cottage food industry in that one state is now estimated at $65 million annually. Since 2015, 34 states and the District of Columbia have created or expanded their homemade food programs. The historical reference point is straightforward. In 1944, 20 million Victory Gardens, most of them in towns, cities, and suburbs, produced 40% of all fresh vegetables consumed in the United States, totaling 8 to 10 million tons of food. Then the war ended, government promotion stopped, and Levittown began rising in 1947, with 17,000 houses built under covenants that required weekly lawn mowing. Community associations climbed from about 10,000 in 1970 to 373,000 in 2025. 78 million Americans now live under HOA rules, and 67% of newly completed homes in 2024 stand inside HOA communities. The lawn care industry today is worth $158.9 billion a year. The grocery industry is worth $912 billion. And if 55 million American households each grew $600 of produce a year, that's $33 billion not spent at the grocery store. In 2021, Maine became the first state in the country to pass a constitutional amendment guaranteeing the right to food, including the right to save and exchange seeds, and the right to grow, raise, harvest, produce, and consume the food of your own choosing. 60% of voters approved it. The National Gardening Association estimates that more than 43% of American households now grow at least some of their own food, and that number is rising. Florida's law passed in 2019. Illinois followed in 2022, and bills are pending in Oklahoma, Wisconsin, New York, and Arkansas. The tomato in the front yard was never the problem. The threat was always what happens when enough people figure out they don't need the store.